What's up, everyone? Coach D speaks here. So Kari Lake is still going on television, lying to people about the Arizona gubernatorial race being stolen from her. Check this out.
So I'm watching this whole race. I'm thinking, well, there's one race I'm sure of, and that's Kari Lake is going to be governor of Arizona. And, we kind of go to bed that night thinking it's all going to go that way.
So I'm watching this NFL wildcard game, and there's one thing that I'm 100% sure of, and that is that the San Diego Chargers are going to win that game. So I went to bed that night, and then I wake up the next morning only to find out that the Jacksonville Jaguars had stolen that game. That's NFL fraud. And if they think they're going to steal a game right from under us while we're sleeping, they got another thing coming to them, because we're going to take it to the San Diego Supreme Court and all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court if that's what we have to do. Haven't we heard that before? Make no mistake about it. That is a page from Trump's stolen election lie playbook in 2020.
So help us understand what did in fact happen.
So let me help you with that, Mike. What happened was when you went to sleep, life still went on. They kept counting ballots. Just like when I went to sleep, the game kept happening, and the Jacksonville Jaguars actually legitimately came back and won that game. They kept counting ballots, and it turns out Katie Hobbs beat Kari Lake fair and square.
Well, in Arizona, we vote for a month, and then we count votes for 2 weeks until we get the outcome that they want.
So what Kari Lake is saying is that she wanted them to stop counting votes when it got the outcome that she wanted. She didn't want them to count all the votes because that doesn't get the outcome that she wants. But see, what it gets is the accurate outcome. You see, I wanted them to stop the game last night when the San Diego Chargers were winning 27-0. But there was still time on the clock, just like with counting all the votes. You don't stop until all the votes are actually counted, Kari.
And sadly, this is where we come to. And what happened was they knew our people were showing up on Election Day. 75% of the voters on Election Day were voting for me. And we know that because that's what the exit polling was showing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's first pretend that she's not lying about exit polling. And then let's pretend that exit polling is 100% accurate. She is still discounting all of the mail-in ballots. And that's what Republicans want to do. They literally told people not to mail their ballots in. And Democrats said, use all the resources that you have. If you can show up to the polls, do that. But if you can mail in your ballots, do that as well. So for Kari Lake to be so surprised that exit polling showed that all the people showing up on the day of Election Day were voting for her, but she still didn't win, that's because you told your people not to mail in their ballots.
And they sabotaged Election Day. On Election Day, all of a sudden, the ballot printers were printing out a 19-inch ballot on a 20-inch ballot paper, and that caused the computers to jam, and it caused people to not have their votes counted. And then we found out they added 25,000 additional votes 2 days later after Election Day, 300,000 ballots that didn't have chain of custody. We don't know where they came from.
Okay, we've been here before, but I just want to make sure everyone understands that Arizona courts have already heard all of these arguments. So as for the 19-inch ballots on 20-inch papers, they found that if any of those ballots had any issues, they were put to the side and they were later hand counted. The courts decided that was completely legitimate. Kari Lake knows this, but she continues to blatantly lie about it. There were not 25,000 ballots added, and the courts decided that the 300,000 ballots that she claims had no chain of custody actually did. This has all been litigated, and Kari Lake actually lost.
So far, it's been a tough slog, and the courts have said, nope, we're not going to take a look at that. It's not that they said you were wrong. They didn't really do the audit. Is that a fair assessment of what's happened?
We sued and we had 10 counts, and the judge he said, I will listen to 2 counts. He gave us the 2 hardest to prove, but we did a great job proving it. I don't know if you followed it. And he ruled against us, unfortunately.
So listen to what she's saying here. They had 10 cases. The judge asked them to prove 2 of them, the 2 hardest according to her. And then they did a great job proving it, but unfortunately, the judge still ruled against them. If you did a great job proving it, why did the judge still rule against you, Kari?
So now we're in the appeals court. Good news is they've taken it based on merit, and we're going to push it to the Arizona Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court if we have to, because we know we won. And we have to fight this. We have to fight it now.
No, Kari, you know you lost. And it's hard it is for you and the rest of the MAGAs to come to that painstaking conclusion. You just can't. So instead, you're going to go around for the next 3 or 4 years saying the election was stolen from you, just like your messiah, Donald Trump.
And the two men running the election are both Republicans, sadly, but they ran a super PAC raising tens of thousands of dollars to defeat me. And here they are running the election. I'm on the ballot. They didn't want election deniers because I understand what happened in 2020. I did some research and I know that we had a bad election in 2020. We can't keep having stolen elections or we won't have a country much longer.
So, of course, Kari Lake, being a part of the Do Your Research crowd, did her research on the 2020 election, and she found that it was a bad election. You mind sending any of that research to the 60 courts that dismissed all of that election fraud nonsense? You won't, because you don't have it. Yet she goes around to television stations stating that she has proof of the election being stolen in 2020. Then they ask her to produce that proof, and she says, you know what? Next time I'm on your show, I'm going to bring that to you. And then there's no next time. And, I love how she says, if these elections keep being stolen, we won't have a country anymore. I'm still waiting for Kari Lake or any of the MAGAs to explain to me that if the Democrats have this ability to steal elections, why wouldn't they steal elections enough so that they would have control? I mean, full control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Why, Kari? Because you guys are lying. And what's sad is that some people, they still believe you.
There's something, I think, troubling to all of us when a ballot for electing our leaders is about as secure as getting the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstake in the mail.
That might be more secure.
That might be more secure. Mike Huckabee had that in his bag and couldn't wait to get it out. He thought that was a great zinger. Yeah.
Well, it might be. The chance that we're going to send it back and get $10 million. And a lot of people are scratching their head saying, is that really an effective way to carry out election integrity? And obviously it isn't.
I have a home, homeowners association, and our elections for our HOA board are more secure than the elections in Arizona. It shouldn't be that way. We need secure elections.
Let's be clear here. Republicans only claim that election integrity is in jeopardy in areas where they have lost. They have never claimed that there was election fraud in cities, counties, or states that they have won. They think election integrity is great in every single election that they have won. But for some reason, Donald Trump and Kari Lake think there's no election integrity in any race that they have lost. And this is because they're having the hardest time accepting defeat. These are the same people that say kids are being ruined because of participation trophies, and yet they are literally on television and social media every single day begging for a participation trophy. Period.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.